Imagine waking up, grabbing your morning coffee, and realizing your computer just built an entire intellectual property empire overnight. Seriously, while you were sleeping. In this explainer, we are going to unpack a completely fascinating pipeline of Python scripts. This entire setup runs on a single air-gapped machine, and it's quietly churning out a massive IP moat for its creator completely on autopilot.
So here's our roadmap. We're going to start by looking at the autonomous IP factory itself. Then we'll see how it scans live market signals, seeds the new world, locks down the legal moat, and finally, how this whole setup outpaces massive corporate incumbents. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The Autonomous IP Factory, and waking up to out-invent the competition.
So you really have to ask yourself, how exactly do you out-innovate a $100 million company while you are literally asleep? It sounds impossible, right? But what we're about to dive into isn't some theoretical idea. It is a live, automated reality that is completely flipping the traditional innovation model on its head. You know, most startups burn through millions of dollars just trying to figure out product market fit. But here, the machine is doing all that heavy lifting completely autonomously.
Now, I want you to pay close attention to the word weaponized here. This isn't just about generating fun, quirky ideas. No, this is an offensive, highly calculated legal strategy, and it's being executed entirely by code. We're looking at a continuous loop designed specifically to corner the AI market. It aggressively claims intellectual property around emerging trends before anyone else even knows they exist. And guess what it costs to run this whole shebang? Absolutely zero. No giant VC funding rounds, no massive cloud API bills piling up. By leveraging really powerful local models, the creator has totally stripped away the massive overhead that usually chokes young startups. It allows for pure, unadulterated creative output, but without a single cent of burn rate. This timeline is just a relentless metronome of weaponized IP generation. At exactly 1 a.m., our first script, market_scanner.py, wakes up and hunts for signals. It feeds that raw data directly into the 3 a.m. run, world_seeder.py, where brand new tech specs are drafted. And then, by 5 a.m., L4_provenance.py instantly cryptographs all those outputs to lock in the legal prior art. It's like clockwork.
Moving on to Section 2, scanning live market signals, or finding the gap in the market.
Okay, so at 1 a.m. sharp, the market scanner script kicks off its routines. It isn't guessing, it is actively hunting for dollar signs. It's looking for things like a fresh $50 million funding round for a very specific technology. Once it spots a massive signal like that, it meticulously structures that intelligence into a local markdown file. Basically, it's synthesizing the exact high-octane fuel needed for the very next step in our pipeline.
Which brings us to Section 3, seeding the new world, drafting the adjacent possible.
Once the scanner has the intel, the world seeder script passes this exact, highly specific prompt to a local Gemma 4 model. It basically takes those live market signals gathered at 1 a.m. and demands, not asks, but explicitly demands a superior local first alternative. And it has to build this alternative using strictly existing puzzle pieces.
And where do those puzzle pieces come from? Well, to draft these new tech specs, the engine relies on a library of 858 existing atomic IP nodes from its own foundational knowledge graph. This right here is why the system doesn't just hallucinate absolute nonsense. It uses a massive verified library of actual functional code snippets and architectural frameworks it already knows for a fact will work, and it just snaps them together like Lego bricks to form totally new products.
The resulting output from this is just staggering. What we're looking at are actual worlds, or essentially product environments that the system auto-created overnight. It scores them for viability, it defines the business models, like whether it should be a SaaS or a white label license, and it even calculates the time to revenue. It's basically an autonomous, superhuman product manager working the night shift.
Now, let's say a client actually wants to buy one of these brand new platforms. How does it get built? Well, if a client submits a requirement document, a swarm of AI agents immediately jumps into action. They autonomously map the blueprint, write the actual Python code using those 858 atomic nodes we talked about, and then they rigorously audit the logic in a virtual sandbox to ensure it works perfectly.
All right, on to Section 4, locking the legal moat, establishing cryptographic prior art.
So here is where it gets really genius. The system doesn't just invent things, it permanently timestamps those inventions. At 5 a.m., the L4 provenance script wakes up and scans for all those newly drafted specs. It then generates a unique cryptographic MD5 hash. Think of this as an unbreakable digital fingerprint for the text. Once it has that hash, it logs it straight into an immutable ledger, permanently recording exactly when this IP was created.
This step is absolutely crucial because it instantly establishes verifiable prior art. By doing this, it creates a legal exhaustion defense that walls off the entire space. And it does it without hiring a single expensive lawyer. So if some giant tech corporation tries to patent a similar idea, say 6 months down the road, this solo operator already has hard mathematical proof they invented it first. It literally renders the corporate patent invalid. Boom, checkmate.
And that leads us to our final section, Section 5, Outpacing Corporate Incumbents, the classic David versus Goliath paradigm.
When you look at the traditional approach versus this new system side by side, the terrifying reality for the incumbents becomes super clear. The massive Goliaths out there require hundreds of millions of dollars in VC funding, huge teams, and incredibly slow legal departments just to move an inch. Meanwhile, our David in this scenario is literally a solo operator with a single Mac Mini running local models, instantly protecting its output for free. It is a complete mismatch.
And honestly, perhaps the most mind-blowing part of this whole shebang? When the creator asked the local AI to analyze its own architecture, the AI basically issued a warning. It pointed out that this autonomous pipeline is generating intellectual property at such a massive rate and scale, it actually poses a genuine threat to traditional corporate IP management systems. It completely overwhelms them.
So what does this all mean? What actually happens to the tech industry when a single air-gapped machine can legally exhaust an entire sector's IP while its creator is fast asleep? I want you to really think about the ramifications of that as you process everything we've just covered in this explainer. Ask yourself, what industry, what sector might be automated next? We are shifting from a world where armies of engineers and lawyers build moats to a reality where a single script loop on a Mac Mini can claim the entire frontier overnight. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep exploring.